The Center for Investigative Reporting has recently done a piece on a new surveillance system that's being tested in Compton, Baltimore, and Dayton. And what they're doing is they're using something known as wide area surveillance. It's a wide area surveillance system, and it's carried out by a company known as Persistent Surveillance Systems.
The array of cameras on this aircraft records high-resolution images of a 25 square mile area for up to 6 hours. It can track every person and vehicle on the ground, beaming back the pictures in real time. It's citywide surveillance on an unprecedented scale.
What we essentially do is a live version of Google Earth, only with a full TiVo capability. It allows us to rewind time and go back and see events that we didn't know occurred at the time they occurred.
Am I the only one who thinks McNutt is a funny last name?
Are you kidding me? The whole time I was thinking.
Okay. As he explained there, it's like Google Maps, but you're able to identify, not necessarily by their facial features, but let's say find a target and follow that target within a certain space. Mm-hmm. And unlike a satellite, you're able to zoom in, you're able to pause, you're able to rewind, you're able to follow someone around. So that's a little questionable. Mm-hmm. But then on top of that, since you're unable to identify details, like let's say facial features, they can use, local law enforcement can use technology on the ground in addition to this in order to find specific people and follow them around wherever they go in a certain town. Now, I find it a little curious that they decided to test this out in cities like Compton.
Really?
Yeah.
In LA, they decided to use it in Compton and not in Beverly Hills. Now, you'd think they'd want to keep Beverly Hills safe, right? I mean, this is for our safety and security. But it turns out that people living in Beverly Hills don't want that, and so they're going to use it on people who have no power instead, and they're going to just keep everybody under watchful eye in Compton instead. Didn't see that coming. Mm-hmm. Well, you know why? It's probably because they're so concerned about the safety and security of people who live in Compton.
Always.
Yes.
Always.
And number one priority in LA is, of course, the African-American part of town that is not doing as well socioeconomically, because we really care about our citizens. Or perhaps they thought, great, we get to follow people around and harass them even more. Yeah. Look, it could have good purposes. That's the whole thing about all these government programs. Like, let's say there's a rapist on the loose, there's a serial killer on the loose, and you want to find him, and you're Tom Cruise or Jack Bauer or whoever you are in a movie. Okay, great, right? But then, you know, it's the same thing with the NSA. They're in all of our lives, and they can't find a frickin' gigantic plane. Yeah. Like, they're like, a plane? I don't know where that is. I mean, I know who you were sexting with the other day, but I can't find a plane. So, like, yeah, from time to time they might use it for our security, but we literally have Big Brother now watching us at every moment in the day.
So the argument that local law enforcement will use is, hey, you know what, you can't really determine what a person looks like, and also you can't look inside the person's home. So therefore, this is not...
They were going to say, look, we see every move you're making, but we can't look inside your heart. So it's okay. Okay. Oh, but like
although some, by the way, speaking of that, some law enforcement is testing, or law enforcement, yeah, is testing technology that does predictive crime or predictive behavior. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So Minority Report, just like Tom Cruise. That's great.
So they use statistics and everything to determine where the most crime is likely to happen, who is more likely to commit those crimes, how are they going to commit those crimes.
Well, if you've got this thing hovering over Compton, ready to predict crime, lo and behold, guess what you'll find? You'll find crime that you predicted, right? Because you're saying, I'm looking for crime. If you don't go look for crime in other places, you won't find it. And then they'll turn around and say, see, we should have had the eye in the sky over Compton. Yeah. Look at all the crime we found.
Look, on its own, I think that each individual technology is not necessarily terrible, right? I mean, I still see it as an invasion of privacy, but if you take this by itself, all right, I mean, it's not that bad. But you couple it with all the other ways that our privacy is being violated. And that way, public officials, members of the government have a very clear image of what we do with our lives, where we go, where we eat, who we talk to, what kind of porn we watch, who are we emailing, what is in those emails, who are we calling, when are we traveling. everything that we do is being compiled in databases. And it's scary to know that every move you make is literally being watched by officials. So yeah, I mean, they can make all the excuses that they want. And when you're in a public place, you have no reasonable expectation of privacy. That's just the way the law works. But they've gone above and beyond that. It's gone beyond us being in a public place. It's gone to our phone calls, our emails, what we do in our homes, and that is some scary stuff.
And besides, even in public places, I vote no. I vote no, man. Look, they can't look inside your house. They can look in your backyard, though, right? They can see what you're doing in your pool, in your jacuzzi, etc. And oftentimes, they have technology that could actually take X-rays of your house, and from time to time, they'll okay that too. So there's no limits to this thing. And besides which, man, this isn't what I call freedom. When I was growing up, yeah, sometimes we do stupid stuff outside because we were free. You know, now we're watched at all times, and if you have an infraction, they're going to come to get you, especially if they've targeted you. I mean, I don't know what they're going to target, but you think at some point some cop isn't going to target his ex-wife or his ex-wife's lover, etc. You're crazy if you don't think that.